Welcome to the Mind Advantage. I'm Dr. Jo Lukens. This week, we're having a look at one of my favourite quotes, which is, whatever you are not changing, you are choosing. Whatever you are not changing, you are choosing. Now, I think this quote is important for a number of different reasons, and I'm going to explore some of those with you now. First of all, what I think the quote does is it reminds us of the power of choice. And one of the things that we often don't give consideration to is the fact that not acting, inaction, is a choice. So we want to take personal responsibility for our decisions, and sometimes we look at a path and we go, am I going to do A? Am I going to do B? Oh, I don't know. I won't do anything. So what you've actually taken there is option C, which is inaction. So we know that when we're taking on different roles and considering different options, what is important for us is choice. The two biggest factors that I find where people feel that they get stressed and under pressure is when life feels out of control and unpredictable. Those are the things that we don't like. So you will always have a choice, and sometimes understanding that not acting is a choice can either help you to be okay with that decision, or it might encourage you to maybe take a step in another direction. The other thing that we know from this quote is it's talking about taking ourselves out of our comfort zone, which is the only place where growth can happen. We don't extend ourselves, we don't improve, we don't challenge ourselves, we don't make mistakes and find out the lessons and move our way towards the pathway to success unless we are being uncomfortable. Getting comfortable in the uncomfortable is an important element that we can draw from this really powerful quote. I also like it because we know that whenever we are in that place of being uncomfortable, it can bring about fears and resistance. We don't want to do things, so we don't want to make a choice. We want to sit with the status quo. And so understanding that fear is part of the journey, and really fear is feedback. Feedback, it's not a pleasant emotional state usually, but it is feedback for us. It's saying, I am feeling uncomfortable right now. So that can really help us to learn how to become comfortable in that place of fear. And what I would always say to people is notice it. Notice the fear, notice the emotion, sit with it for a little bit, maybe be curious about it. Why am I feeling scared right now? This new option, if I make this choice, is going to extend me and ask me to do these particular things. And that makes me nervous. Well, why am I nervous? Am I worried about that I might not make it? Am I worried about what other people might think? Am I worried about whether I have the capacity? Am I even worried about what success is going to look like? So all of those factors are things that we can look at in terms of getting ourselves closer to making change or choosing to not make change. We also need to probably think about what are the potential consequences if you don't do anything. Sometimes we sit in a space and we go, oh, I should have done that 10 years ago. Well, maybe the best time would have been 10 years ago. But what we do know is that the second best time to do it is actually today. So, even if we've delayed on a decision, we could spend the next 10 years regretting that we didn't do anything, or we could do something about it today. And maybe, and this is a quote I've often used with people, just to add another quote into the quote we already have, is maybe you're exactly where you need to be. You're exactly where you need to be in terms of these crossroads, in terms of the decisions that you're making. And so this is a good place to be, and to be I guess, grateful for the opportunity to be at a crossroads making a decision about something or not. We also know that this is an opportunity for positive change, that change, brings around some disruption to us. We often reject change and we don't like it. And particularly if we're good at something, we don't like going back to being a little bit of a beginner again. But thinking about what are the positives that come from the change can be a really helpful way to help us navigate it. And what I would always say is it's really important for us to reflect and self-assess ourselves as we go through each of these elements. So as we come back to the original quote, whatever you are not changing, you are choosing to be exactly where you are right now. Are you happy with that? Is that what you want to be? Do you choose to stay where you are? Or are there areas where you want to grow, and then you need to be able to manage with some of the fears that come with it, the growth that comes with it, and think about what those changes might be. Now, as I say to you in every video, the best way for you to learn a lesson, for you to take on a message, for you to make a change, is for you to teach it to somebody else. If you want a reminder of that, go back to my very first video where I explain the mechanics of that. So now what I would encourage you to do, if you want to get that extra refinement to your learning of this message, is take the quote, Maybe take some of the points that I've given you and share it with someone else. Teach it to somebody else. Teach it to the dog if you need to, but when you're explaining it to someone else and what it means for you to somebody else, then that sets you up well in terms of processing it for yourself, but also in terms of sharing the learnings with someone else. I'd invite you to keep up with all the videos that are sitting there in the YouTube channel. There's plenty of them there for you to have a look at. A new one of these drops every single week. Join me in any of the socials on LinkedIn or get in contact and send me an email. Would love to hear from you.